Hello everybody, this is CJ Wiley, and I'm taking a little break. I always like the waterfalls and the mountains and the ocean, so I spent a lot of time in Hawaii. I actually took an 8-day course. It was a Huna course about the ancient Kahuna Indians, and put on by Tad James, who was one of the foremost authorities on the Kahuna, and his wife is actually from the Kahuna bloodline. So we did it on the big island of Hawaii, and we went around to all these like spiritual retreats, and they all had like a special story about them. And one of the main common denominators was if you committed any kind of crime and you were able to get to one of these sanctuaries, you were forgiven. Of course, they would be trying to throw a spear in your back when you're going there, and so it was pretty difficult. I'm not so sure many of them made it. I didn't hear that statistic, but studying the Kahuna was interesting because they all ended up in Hawaii, and the missionaries that first went over there, they asked them where they were from, and they said Tahiti. Now they thought it was the South Pacific island Tahiti. But actually, in their native tongue, Tahiti means one of two things: anywhere but here, and from the light, which could mean from the direction of the sun. That I'm not sure about, and as far as I know, nobody knows for sure. One thing I do know is they had spiritual aspects and practices that you see all over the world, from India to Thailand to Germany to Japan to China. They kind of had little bits and pieces of some of the practices from all over the world, and it's hard to figure out how did they get all that information and knowledge on a little bitty island out in the middle of the ocean. It still puzzles me. But I went through an 8-day course, and we went to all these sanctuaries, and we did some cool practices. I remember we all got there was about probably 40 of us in this class, maybe 50, and we all had a glass of water. And what we did was we thought of this really powerful, loving thought, attached it to a word, and then passed the water to each and every one of us. So we each got to hold one of the glasses of water. And when we held it, we put our open hand down and exhaled into the water and thought about that word or said it out loud, and because it was anchored to some other things that we were doing. And it was all, real positive stuff. But anyway, after we passed it around and did all those things, we drank the water. And it numbed my throat for several minutes. I can't remember, probably 5 to 10 minutes. It started wearing off. But those thoughts definitely had an effect on the water. And since then, I've seen that there's definitely studies that frequencies control the water. And since we're about 70% water, it stands to reason that frequencies, even music, will make you feel a little different. We've got our favorite songs that bring back memories and make us feel a certain way. It's an interesting study. But as far as pool goes, when I was on the Big Island, there was a place I was taken to called Jump Rock. And what we did was we did an anchoring technique because we were all into neuro linguistic programming, the study of how words are used to program the mind. And there's several different branches from that, but it's really a linguistics course, and being able to mentally model things and achieve outcomes and goals and so forth. So I made a goal. We went to this jump rock, and we wrote down the goal that we wanted to achieve, and we attached a word to it, so that when the word was said, it would be anchored to our mind and bring that back. And how it works is if your subconscious drops its guard, so to speak, like they do faith falls where you just fall backwards and people catch you and they say a word and it goes into your subconscious. Because when that happens, like a near-death experience type situation, your conscious mind will shut off and your subconscious will completely take over. So it's a really easy and effective way to program your mind. And people use that to overcome habits, and they use it with, like drug addicts and alcoholics and people that are, have different phobias and whatnot. So my word was confidence, and I attached to it some of the, I just had fun with it, to tell you the truth. I said I wanted to win the biggest tournament ever on TV with the most people watching ever held, and the most money and the most exposure. And, I just made it as big and basically far out as I could, because I honestly didn't really believe it, like it was going to happen. Because at that time, a lot of the stuff that I named on that list wouldn't have been possible because of how the pro tour and professional billiards was going and whatnot. So anyway, I had fun with it. And anyway, the first day, the water was pretty clear, and this jump rock's about 20 feet high, maybe 17, if I made a really good guess. And the water was really calm, and I just couldn't jump. I mean, I brought back memories of being on a high dive when I was young and not being able to do it, and just had to pull out. So the next day, I definitely had to do it. So I went back with the two people that I was with, and that day the ocean was crashing on the rocks and it was real turbulent. And for some reason, that was okay with me. I could jump, and the other two I was with couldn't jump. So I kind of learned a little something about myself. I really perform best in like emergency situations and when there's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. That's probably why I did so well in high pressure situations playing pool. So when I jumped, they yelled out confidence. And anyway, make a long story short, there's a lot to this story. But when I went back within 3 months, some things happened in the Pro Billiard Tour. I ended up getting several players, and we did our own thing with ESPN. I got on the ESPN World Open Championship with several countries all over the world, and we played the tournament in Santa Rosa, California. And I ended up winning the World Open singles, beating Earl Strickland in the semifinals and Oliver Wortman in the finals. And then I played the Battle of the Sexes against Vivian Villarreal, who had won the Women's World Championships. And I won that for an additional $60,000. She won $40,000. They were putting up 100 total. And 2.8 million people watched it. So as far as I know, that's the biggest audience that's ever been in the United States on ESPN watching pool, unless you maybe go back to the Willie Mosconi Minnesota Fats days. That is possible. But, and I also won the doubles with Lori John at the time. Hassan is her last name. And we won the World Open Mixed Doubles Championships. So I had a clean sweep there and won like 88,000 and really got a lot of exposure because ESPN said that over 600 hours total, they played that all over the world. Mostly late at night. They filled spots, but got a lot of exposure for that. But anyway, it's interesting, and I've got other ways to do that that's a lot easier, where you don't have to go to Hawaii, because that's a stretch, especially now when things are so irregular over there. But anyway, this is CJ. If you want to hear more about my techniques, systems, and fundamentals to play like the pros play, join me at www.cjwiley.com. You can email me at cjwiley@cjwiley.com if you have any questions. I'm getting ready to go from Texas to Pennsylvania. If you're on the way, might be able to work out something to stop by and give some private lessons. I've got several of them booked up in the next month. So anyway, I'm just getting my last few days here in Texas, and then I am going to head east. Beautiful here. Anyway, this is CJ, over and out.